Hey, Meg. I'm gonna change. What's that, Crystal? I can't do this. Could you hear me? Sam, could you hear me? You can.
Yeah, I can.
Oh, there we go. I was like, is anybody saying anything? I'm gonna get this situated, you guys, really fast. Is that a circle clap, Crystal? Oh. How hot was it out? Hey! How are you?
Yes.
Hi,
Shit.
everyone. Yay!
Good job, everyone. That was so great.
Turn this off. Here, put this down. Hi, you guys. I don't have the what's that function through Zoom? The
Webinar?
which one?
A webinar? That's what you're talking about?
The webinar thing? No. I don't have it, so I just didn't want to like get another thing going, so I just kept it just like this, pretty casual, right?
Yeah.
Super cash. Hi everyone. We'll wait a little bit till more people come in. They're still everybody's still coming in. I'm gonna put this guy on. Is that better? Could you hear me? No? You can hear me, right? Yeah.
That's way better.
Oh, okay. I can't hear anybody. That's all my. No? Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys, I'm still sweating. It's really hot in here. I don't know why. I guess I should turn this to the side, right? I don't know how to do that. You think I would know how, but okay. Got my water, my coffee. The what?
Oh, no, we're just admiring your two angles here.
Am I set up?
Yes.
Is that okay?
And the mirror in the background's nice too.
You can see the back of me, you can see the front of me, and you can see the side of me. Every angle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No.
So welcome to my bedroom. This is like wallpaper central. Whatchamacallit? It's like crazy, right? I've been like sitting here for like the last like 4 hours, I think, just trying to get comfortable with everything and try not to like go a little crazy, stir crazy. But yeah, it's been kind of one of those wild rides. Do you guys have any questions as far as like how the process went, or if you guys have any comments about what you thought about it, I guess?
Yeah, how the fuck did you do that? That's my question.
Jed, way to start it off, man.
Shit, tell me everything.
It was all live edited, so through Zoom, basically. And so you know how you can spotlight people on Zoom? It was all done through Spotlight, and then you can what you do is you put everything on OBS, which is this guy. I don't know if you can see the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is pretty much imported into OBS. This guy, so you're like gonna live in so many places, and then you put it through YouTube. There's a stream key that you can put that it allows you to connect to YouTube. So basically you do your full setup. You have your setup for your title screen. You have your setup for the standby. And it's basically like good old, stage managing days. Go, 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 go. And you
Sure.
put everything live. So it just fades into the next thing and so forth like that. I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's just the gist of it basically.
Neat.
And then you have to get like the sound to go through your desktop, and then your music, and then everything, and then you just have to make sure the stream is going well in YouTube, and then that's it. It's basically, it's a lot of stuff, but it's
And when's the
fun
next one?
stuff.
Because I want more. No. Sit in this for a while.
How long did we spend on this, you guys? Not very long, right?
I think like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it we had already set. So like Aaron's solo was already set, Fee's solo was set. I mean Tiffany, and then the duet was already set, and then the two duets were already set. So Sarah and Luke, they already had performed before, but not separately. And then Jake and Devin had performed that before, like back in 2015, 14? Maybe Devin? Jake?
I think it was 14. Yeah.
14. Yeah, it was a long time
Smart.
ago. Yeah. How much
Yeah.
is lighting, camera angles? How did the aspect collaboration go? So with the lighting and the camera angles. So basically what I did for them was I set up a shot list. And so I'll show you guys the shot list for that. So wallpaper online. So I had a dance script. So basically you'll see, I don't know if you can see that over here, but I'll pull it up on here. So this is basically their dance script. That guy. Could you see that, you guys? Ish. Is that better? I can't even see myself. Where am I? Where'd I go? Okay, there we go. So if I spotlight this guy, so this is basically their dance script. So they get this. I gave this to them for the first time, and then this is what I was looking for. So I basically, when I approached this to them, I sent them like maybe 2 or 3 sections, saying, "Hey, you guys want to do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it. It sounds fun." And so the gist of it was, we didn't have any colors or anything like that, and it was pretty like kind of vague. And then the second part of it was more was detailed. So it had location, their tasks, and their mood. I could also share the screen. Let me do that. I think it's probably better. Okay. There's nothing weird on my desktop. Okay. So basically, so section 1, you have the dancers in their specific location, what they needed to do, the mood, the camera angles. So that was the first iteration of the script. So each section had their own kind of way of approaching the section. Section 3 kind of changed a little bit, different grouping of dancers. And then whenever there's like a solo, it's just like kind of sectioned off. I labeled everything that's through B-roll. So B-roll was anything that we can cut to that was secondary. And then I put the timestamp on each side so they knew when the music would change. And then for me calling the cues, I knew when the music would change when I'm calling the show. So I basically went off of this just to give them a good outline and to know when everything happens. It's like, when you go through a piece and you're like, when do I do this? And it's like, so this is basically how they went through it. The second iteration was the shot list. And so the shot list ended up being more specific to camera. So I had gave them a shot list of what I was looking for, like specifically like styles and angles. And then so they gave me like their spaces, because I didn't know what their spaces look like. So they just basically gave me what their outdoor spaces, indoor spaces look like. And then I basically chose what I wanted them to show or to do the camera angles. So every camera angle was pre-prepared for the show. Like for example, like for Leanne's, I did you know, she picked that angle, but I told her to change the angle so it was more perspective. Same thing with the bed with Sarah, and then suspensions, and then same thing with this, and then so forth with Jake and Devin. So a lot of this was kind of pre-planned. That way, when we did stuff, it's more about how to approach it quickly, right? Rather than like kind of just going with the flow. So that was pretty much the basic idea of everything. Peace, like some magician. I wish. What if one of the dancers' Wi-Fi crapped out? Like my Wi-Fi crapped out? So I had to buy one of these my MiFi stuff. It's like a hotspot. So our Wi-Fi at home is like shit. It's like the worst. It literally craps out like 3 or 4 times a day. So I called Optimum, and there's no other option in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is just Optimum, period. Like Graziella has Optimum, and Fee has Optimum, and we're just shitting hole. So with this, they didn't even like call me back. So they're getting a lot of shit from me, and I want a refund for them like for the next 2 months. And then so I had to buy a MiFi. So everything, I had to rely on this so the system didn't go down, because last week when we did a run through, the system went down. And then when we had a discussion, the system went down. And then 3 times after that, I was watching TV and the system went down 3 times. So I had it. I called them like at 2:00 in the morning, and I yelled at somebody from Asia, and she was just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, somebody fix it. And then, so nothing ever got done. So yeah, so to answer your question, Mark, we basically just relied on cellular for them, and then for me, I had to just kind of juice up the power for the MiFi because our internet is terrible. And what are the groupings? The groupings are kind of specifically for space, like for Rochelle and Sam and Leanne. They have good backyard space because they have a pool. Well, then you do. You have a pool. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice. But so I kind of group them up as far as like what I know, like city wise. It's like, okay, Brooklyn people or, you know, New York people have like, you know, just living areas. Some people from California have probably larger areas like hallways and stuff like that. So, you know, it's just like kind of like a thing. But sometimes like, you know, they would suggest stuff that would be better. And then so we just kind of worked on making that work for them. Yeah. You guys have any other questions? It's hard to show everything on here. But I basically had to learn OBS, which is Open Broadcast System, for those of you who don't know what that is. So if you want to broadcast something out to YouTube Live or Facebook Live, you basically take like, let's do our example, like we took Zoom. You can take that Zoom and do a screen capture and then put it into OBS, and then OBS takes it and then streams it to YouTube or Facebook Live. So you get a stream key from those two systems. So YouTube has one, and then Facebook has one, and then basically you put that key and then you put it into OBS, and then OBS like connects with YouTube, and then it goes da 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 together. And then sometimes it says no power, and so you have to give more power to OBS, so it like kind of streams through. When we were doing it last week, it looked like it was kind of stop motion because it wasn't powerful enough, and so hence I needed to get the MiFi and connect to Ethernet so it wouldn't crap out on Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is so spotty sometimes. So it kind of fluctuates, especially if you're like during the day when everybody's working at home. And so it kind of gets a little weird for everything. Do you think this is the future of live performance art? I don't know. So with that said, I think, you know, when we're in this situation, the question was, how do we do this without having to wait for a live theater or just even, you know, just a space to do performances? In the beginning of this whole thing, Teddy Tedholm and Sarah Richmond did like the ISO art. And so they brought people together to perform. out of their homes, and it was a solos, and basically just like kind of like a showcase of dance artists showing their work. And so, and most of the people that were approaching me about like concerts, you know, the schools that I worked with over in the fall or in the spring, they're like, how do we put a concert together? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Actually, are you going to show just like, you know, video from work that was from rehearsal and stuff? So that was the big question. Those two things kind of melted together. And the question of like, how do you create a concert and show separate pieces, but make it look cohesive and make it look like, you know, they actually belong together. So that was the big question. So with that being said, you know, how do you solve, you know, something that's like almost impossible to do as a group? But then again, like if you're talking about film, you cut into film and like you shoot, you pick shots that are like really cohesive to each other, and then you make it blend to the next and then going to the next. So there's a whole storyline. And by using the script, you can break that down so you feel like there's a thorough kind of narrative to it, right? And so since we were doing a lot of like film the past couple of years, especially with you know, NCC Akron, and then we did some work with San Francisco Dance Film Festival as well. So a lot of that, like, you know, inspired all this, like the knowledge of like knowing how to cut, knowing how to edit, knowing how to look at cinematography in that sense. And so we really treated this more as a dance film / concert. That way it's, you know, you can still appreciate both ends and not be like, oh no, it's a film. Well, no, not really, it's still live. But like it's you know, it's kind of combining the two. So I guess it just really like thinks about like solving that. But you know, this can be an option for that. And it's nice because you can bring people together from afar. So it's not like you have to be together in New York in order to do a piece, but like we brought people together from California, from Michigan to Texas to here. So, you know, that's another way of looking at concert work or even just dance work for that sense. What else is there? What other questions? Did you enjoy the type of work less, more prepared, traditional live performance? It's more stressful for me. A lot of stress. It was very stressful. And I'm usually pretty good about being on the back end of stuff and calling the show and seeing a live performance versus seeing a show and being technically like worried about the strength of the live feed, clicking through and looking for the dancers, looking at the script and doing all of it. If I had probably another person here, it would probably be a little bit easier, but still the whole process was pretty hard as a piece. It was definitely not like the easiest thing to do. But it was very satisfying. Like towards the middle of it, I'm like, okay, I got the hang of it. And I actually made a mistake where I clicked on the gallery view instead. And I'm like, oh shit. And then you bring it back and you're like, God dang it. And then you're like, you can't go back, right? So you just have to make those mistakes. And so we're like, they know it's a live performance, so anything can happen. So Crystal's question, dancer is curious. So this is a question for the dancers, you guys. Curious how you prepared your bodies. Did you go through your typical routine? And would you would go through for a show? And or Mike, do you warm them up, and how you typically do a warm-up show? Do you guys have any answers for that? Anybody? How do you typically just warm up for this guy? I mean, it's not as rigorous, right? Or no?
I mean, truthfully, and I kept everything as the same as I would. You know, there was something pretty like ritual, like there was a nice ritual with it. Like, I mean, we haven't been able to perform, but I mean, like I gave myself a full bar and like yoga and like went through it. But it's so different because you're just like in a room by yourself. But a lot of the times when you warm up, I feel like too, like you're kind of in the zone. You just like zone out everybody else and you focus on the task. I think it's just a different concept. But for me, I did like as I would for a normal show. But we didn't do a group warm up, but yeah.
Yeah. Aaron or Leanne, we're gonna upload it somehow and do an actual like upload to video. I'm not sure how long the link will be up for, but right now I know it's still live, but we'll upload the video as well. Okay, so another question for the dancers, you guys. I'll unspotlight Sarah. Go to the next thing. So another question, were the dancers all watching the Zoom to see the progression of the performance in real time? How did the dancers adapt to relating to each other remotely while performing together? That's a good question. Anybody? Any dancers? Leanne? Rochelle. Oh, okay, and then Rochelle.
I was watching through Zoom. It was nice. My script, I had good chunks of time to be able to stop my section and see what's going on and watch. And that helped me just feel connected because you are dancing by yourself. And with the music, especially because I had to have my Bluetooth like headphones in, so it felt all like very right there. It didn't feel super distant, but it did help to watch the show and see everybody do it and not just feel like I'm, in front of a screen by myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Rochelle? Yeah. Chime in.
Yeah, I with those of us who are outside, our shots were kind of far away. So like I would set my phone and I had it paired through a big Bluetooth speaker because otherwise I wouldn't be able to hear anything. And like saying like when I wasn't dancing, I would tune into what was happening on my phone. But most of the time, like when you're dancing, you're like, well, I hope I'm in the frame. I don't know like when I'm on, and thankfully my cutest of like, now you're on camera, but sometimes you're just dancing and you have no connection. So I had my phone, I had my Bluetooth speaker, and then I had my iPad out with the live feed playing from YouTube, which in a lot of ways I found disorienting because it was off by about 15 seconds. So the Zoom would be like a preview of like what everybody was going to see in like 15 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube Live is like off by like 15, 20 seconds, I think. So whatever you're seeing, it's like, it already happened. It's like really hard. Kim, for the dancers, what was your experience performing in your living spaces instead of on stage? What was your experience on that, you guys? Fee, anybody? Leanne?
I'll say that I had to mark off just because I was outside. There was so much space. I had to like mark where I guess like my stage was, and where I was still in the camera and where I wasn't, because like Rochelle said, most of the time it was distance. So even if I looked at my phone, I'd have to kind of go like this to make sure I was still in the screen. So it was interesting to have a bunch of space, and you have to encompass all of that space, but really only use like a small portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never actually danced on burning hot concrete barefoot. It was a new experience, I don't know if I'll do it again, but
Wait, how hot is it over there, Leanne?
like 87 or something like that. That's not too bad today. Not like last weekend.
Last week was really hot.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, go ahead.
My first shot was in my front yard. So I was really nervous about like Amazon deliveries showing up or the gardener. So I was like worried about that. None of that happened. But at one point, like some neighbors did walk by. I'm like, well, they think I'm crazy. So that's happening.
Leanne, somebody commented that they saw you dancing. Somebody on Facebook commented that they saw
Susie.
you.
It was Susie. Yeah.
Susie says she drove by and saw you dancing on your front lawn, or yeah. She's like, oh, hilarious. She was like, I was wondering why Leanne was dancing in her garage. So,
I probably stared right at her and watched her drive by and didn't even know it was her.
Yeah, probably. Brittany says, congrats, Bear. Clinton and I had a FaceTime viewing party. Enjoyed watching you guys. Thank you for sharing your homes, your moves. Mike, you are a unicorn. Yay. So, Sophie, did you have to change anything from the message you wanted to convey in the original piece? In other words, do you think there are limitations in the type of stories you can tell with the type of performance, or the other way around? Does it give you more freedom? Actually, it's about kind of the same, actually. When you have the framework with the piece, it's like kind of a matter of kind of transforming it. Like even when you get on stage, because with the lighting, it's completely different. When you get into costume, it kind of transforms you. When you get into the stage, the lights transform you. So there's a different way of looking at it once you get on space, and it's the same thing. It's like when you see it on camera, there's like a different way of approaching it, especially when you plan out like the filming and the cinematography versus like having the bodies dance in that space with this with the framing. And so like the progression of it like kind of transformed a little bit. Even today I was like, you know, make it a little bit happier. You know, there's a lot of things to kind of transform it. So I think the approach is the same, but just again, like the technicality of it is different. It's, you can't be like, you know, when you see this person next to you, you know, like they're like, who's there? So like even with the hard part was doing Sarah and Luke's duet, because they are like, you know, facing each other, having this conversation and having this like crazy wild relationship, like, but without that other person. It's like, how do you make it work, and how do you make that actually like tangible and real? So that was like the biggest you know, hurdle as far as how to gauge like energy wise, because the music could be like very powerful, but when that other person isn't there, becomes difficult. Am I right, Sarah, Luke, kind of on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that piece is specifically like improv sections and ideas, and every section is going off of the other person. There's nothing else that's driving it. So obviously when all of that is removed, it was like, all right, so we had to kind of like codify it a little bit and find structures. And yeah, it helps that Mike went back and forth to film a little bit. So like you can kind of peek to see if you're on camera for me, and I can see if I'm kind of like, oh, do I match up with Luke? Okay, cool, we're at the right spot, keep going, kind of thing. When we would go back and forth. So that was like the only saving grace. But for the most part, Mike has his hands full because he's going, you know, next, snake up, Sarah, go, like the whole time. So I think it's really difficult for Mike.
I did videotape my end, so I'll post that. It's gonna be really funny, because I'm literally like, oh, okay, no. So I'll send that to you guys. I'll have to look at it first to see if there's anything incriminating, but we'll see. Question: how many devices did the dancers have to set up in their home spaces? Zoom, audio, number of cameras. You guys have generally just one, right? Just one?
Yeah, I just use my phone. Phone and moved it around like 4 different times.
I did ask them to use their phone instead of their laptop, because the phone has a better camera. Again, it's like a crapshoot with the Wi-Fi and like just the system with the area. So sometimes it's pixelated, sometimes it's not. Like earlier, Leanne, like 5 minutes before the show, I'm like, Leanne, how come you're so pixelated? And then, but last week she was fine. And so like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And so she moved around and she actually she came back to normal. She's like, oh, there she is. There's Leanne. And she came back. Yeah, but that was fun. Fee made some comments. So yeah, the you know, classes are hard here these days. You know, it's not the same, but like, you know, taking classes or even just staying physical helps them a lot, and just being like kind of being prepared. And it's different when you're training as a dancer every day versus like kind of being in your home and training by yourself. It's hard to be motivated in that sense. So it's nice that you know, when you put a performance like this together, it's nice to see like everybody like kind of be in the same kind of mindset. For Mike, what inspired you to do a live feed instead of gathering videos, edit them together to create a dance film? So I think it's one of those things where it's like, what is possible? And so when I first like kind of wanted to do this, it's like, what could we do? How could we do this? And so I put together this show because it was something that we've done before, a different iteration of it, but definitely something that we've like kind of went back to. So it really kind of encompasses the home and the stories behind the home. And so when we started approaching it, it's really about like how are individuals interacting in their home and how are they feeling. And I wanted to kind of convey how we're all feeling these days, how we're all kind of stuck at home and we're like kind of wanting to go out and wanting to, you know, be with people. And there's that like kind of energy that we're all kind of aching for. And sometimes we're a little bit silly and going crazy. And then sometimes there's that part where you just want to scream and just go, like scream at somebody. And at the very end, the reason why I put that duet is like, it's kind of like what we're all longing for, is to have that somebody with us. And like, we just want to be together. And it's just like that whole image of everybody, coming, separated in their homes, and then versus, the two people that are like having this relationship, and then the doors closing, having like that kind of like closure to everything. And so it was just like kind of like interesting to view it as a live versus like doing it as a cut video, because it's like especially when you're watching class, it's so hard to convey the movement without being physically there, saying, this is what you do, this is what you have to like kind of how to guide people through movement. So it's that extra kind of obstacle that you have to do with the live performance versus a video, because video you can cut exactly what you want them to see, but in live it's like, oh, you can't show that. It's like, so cut out of that. So that's the nice part about it. It's again, it's very exhilarating, like a performance, as you're watching a performance. So I really wanted to put that back and have everybody kind of feel that, like that energy, rather than like saying, okay, I filmed it and then there you go. So again, it's like finding something that's complementary to a live performance on stage, but like not necessarily like being together. So how do you solve that? So those are the questions I really wanted to kind of put out there, and I wanted to try. So basically it's just the willingness to try something versus like doing something that I've already done before. Crystal, when you say live edit, Mikey, were you choosing certain effects in real time, or was everything chosen before? No, so I literally was looking at each group and chose which one I wanted to show you guys. So like I would put up group A, and then I would spot like I would say like, Aaron, you're gonna be on in now, and then Chachi, you're gonna be on and now, and then Katrina go, oh, I'm gonna go back to Aaron, and then no, I'm gonna go back to Rochelle, and kind of that thing. And so nothing was predetermined. Although I did say before, like, okay, I'm gonna go to somebody, like I'm gonna go to Margaret. Margaret's gonna close the door, and then she's gonna be the last person, and that's about it. Yeah, everything else was like nothing was. Sometimes I would miss stuff. I'd be like, oh, I missed Sarah's leg. Whoops. There it is. Yay, Mark says, hi, Bear family. Love seeing all of you. Miss all of you so much. We're getting drinks, Mark. Dan, hey. Thanks, Mike and dancers. I enjoyed watching your performance. Mike, you had to be so laser focused on doing the live edits. Yeah. Stressed. Watching felt sense of containment because of the restrictions of dance within your space, and on camera it felt like a truth of how dance was happening during this time. Yeah, I appreciate that it was a message that there is no limits, that you can get more creative, finding ways to keep going. Yeah, I do believe that. I mean, like a lot of this I've been like using it to kind of do research as far as what you can do and what you can't. And so there's so much to learn out there. You just have to get there and like kind of be patient with yourself. It's like if I were, in a regular day, I would just be like working on work and going out and doing other stuff. But since now I'm here, I'm like, I might as well learn something while I'm here. So it's just taking that time. I'm not much of a book reader. I mean, I like TV, but like, I watch a couple of things. But I like to work at night. So 12 o'clock to 4 a.m. is when I work. And so that's when I do all my research. Jake knows. My roommates would wake up at like 6 a.m. to go work, and I'm still up. Are you teaching classes that we can take? Yeah, I'm teaching every week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. And I'm starting back at BDC on Sunday. Jen Rose, yay, thank you. More, please. Yeah, we'll figure out as far as like what could happen with all this. Again, this is just another iteration. I'd love to share stuff with people as far as what you can do. It's definitely a long learning process. Watching YouTube, asking people how to set up your computer for this. I bought a new computer for this specifically because I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. My computer is like about to die. it's like in its last like, I don't know, year or so, the battery is like cycle 888 out of 1,000. So it's gonna be crappy. But Alex says, thank you, Mike and dancers. This is amazing. Congrats. Yay. Do you guys have any other questions regarding like the process or with the dancers? Anything? Ask away.
I have a question. I could
Yeah.
ask. So what would you want next for the, like, what kind of technological advances do you wish you had? Or like, what would you want to make better about this or do differently?
You know, I don't know. I think it's like a matter of like maybe projections in film. Like I had experimented something with Leanne earlier with this. It's like I asked her to send me like a dance phrase on against the wall, and she didn't know what I was doing. And so I just basically I knew what I wanted to do, but she didn't know. But like you know, I projected her on the wall and then I danced next to her and on the screen. So I don't know what's next as far as like putting people together. You know, it's just a matter of question. Is it a hologram? Is it like, you know, is it in real time putting two people together? You know, projections. But originally, our work for the fall was supposed to be projections from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then vice versa. So we're getting an early start as far as like trying to work with projections and virtual reality. So this is like kind of that's our next project, is to work on that. So to put a whole group on screen and dance with another group that's live, and then vice versa, East Coast to West Coast. You know, how do you put a whole piece together with two different groups and have it lined up? So that's that. And there's a lot of streaming services. Somebody told me like there's another streaming services that's like only seconds apart versus like YouTube, which is like 15 to 20 seconds apart. There's a streaming service that's only 2 seconds apart. So which is really close. So I have to look into that. And so that's another thing where, you know, most of the time it's like when you're working with something, it's not in real time. So how do you find something in real time and actually make it work together? Like, yeah. So that's kind of like the next step, technologically, I guess. But like, as far as a work, the next process is the one in October. But Roger, hey Roger, thank you. A tech question: how did you create the whole white frame effect on a certain shots of the zoom? So you can actually zoom in on it's on OBS. So I'll bring this. Actually, I'll do the screenshot. So Roger asked how you can frame the piece. So basically, what you do on OBS. So this is you guys. And so what you can do is take the screen. So I'll do another one. So you can take the screenshot, and you can scale it. So if this is the whole screen, you can basically crop and make it smaller. And then that is one shot. And then you can go fade into so if you fade into that, it goes into that shot to there. And then if you wanted to do another one, so if you wanted to, you know, create a different shape like this. And then, so you would create that, which is like the final look that we had. And then you can scroll and then you can change into that to transform into the next. So it transforms into that basically. So you can create that in, OBS to, you can create that in OBS to design the space of the frame, and then it transforms it to the next. So basically you're like doing a broadcast where you're like, okay, camera 2 ready, and then you do camera 2, and then you go into the next thing. And then that's why that way too, you can, when you do the videos, you can have the video set aside, and then you do the title frame, and then when you go into the next scene, you can put the next scene on standby, and then once the next scene goes, you can like, you can morph into the next screen. So there's a lot of like ways to do that, but like it's all done through OBS. The only thing that's done in Zoom is to switch the screens. Switching screens is the only thing done in Zoom. And you can frame Zoom. So basically, if you wanted to, you have to make it really small. So the suggestion that I got was to make it really small, so when it transfers over to OBS, it doesn't take that much pixels to translate. And so it'll look a lot better, because last week we were struggling with all that stuff. Yeah. So that's basically, and I can give you information about OBS. There's a bunch of videos that I been kind of going through. And so for the most part, that, you know, those specific people that have great like knowledge with the system have been like my savior, because it's so like they're understandable. That the technical side, they're very like layman's term about how they talk about it. So it's really like, the hard part about it is like all the kilobits, the megabits, and like what the bits is going on. I'm like, what? And so like your system has to be powerful enough in order to go to YouTube, or else when you do a live stream in YouTube, it's gonna say not enough juice. We need more juice. And so, yeah, so that's what we were struggling with last week. And so it makes the video look really like pixelated and stop motion. So the more juice you can put on the OBS system to translate into YouTube, the better it look. But your computer needs to be powerful enough to put that juice up, and your internet needs to be powerful enough. The thing with the internet and the Wi-Fi is that the download speed is so quick, because we're doing the streaming services with YouTube, with Netflix and Hulu. So they make that really powerful. So the upload speed is always, so it's the ratio of it's completely off. So the download speeds, they crank it up, and then the upload speeds is low, because not a lot of people upload photos or like, you know, streaming services. So they focus more on the download, because people like to watch TV on the internet. And so the upload is like is the lower side. So you have to have a good upload speed in order to have a good stream for that. Yeah. Does that help, Roger? Hey, thanks for watching. Yay. Valerie, how did the dancers project the shadow on the wall? What inspired using the shadow of the duet? Fee? You want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I just happened to have all my lights with me when I came home before we were all quarantined, and I use these lights all the time. They're just portable LEDs, and Mike had suggested having my boyfriend Casey, who's over here,
He's the mysterious shadow.
Yeah, so we just played with that angle and that look for the duet that Chad and I were doing together for that together.
Yeah. So originally there's like a bunch of stuff that we were doing with the with the original show. So since we had that capability, we just kind of used that to create this like mysterious kind of moment. And the original piece was Brittany, actually, with the lights. Oh, actually, it was Crystal. Crystal is the original. Crystal, you're the original solo for that. Well, not like the original idea, but like the original. Remember, you're the solo that you did in LA with the cream. You're the original one. You're like, what? Do you remember?
Sorry, I had to let Hachi out. He was.
Do you remember that? You remember the solo, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Crystal had done this original solo, which was translated to Wallpaper back in 2015, which Brittany did. But when Brittany did it, she did it with a light that changed the view lights, where it changes color. And so we added that aspect to it. So she was more attracted to the light and having that kind of like that moment. And then so we wanted to retranslate that using Fee's solo. So we used that light with the shadow to kind of translate what Chad was doing on the other side. So we wanted to make it look like it was together, but not have it like actually be physically there. So we used that shadow to kind of emulate what was going on. So that kind of helped kind of like the duality of it with that. So yeah. Because we just didn't want to make it like solo. So we wanted to make like kind of make it interesting. So luckily Casey was there to kind of be that shadow. That shadow. We really wanted to put Matt in it. But I wasn't sure whether he'd be comfortable, or I would have to talk to his agent.
Yeah, he's very high maintenance.
He's very high maintenance.
It was already too much on your plate. We didn't need it, and we didn't need something else.
I know, that's too funny. You guys have any other questions? To donate too, if you guys want to donate, there's a donate button on the bottom of the event page. There's just a Venmo and a PayPal. And if you want to just donate on Venmo, you can just put wallpaper so I can like kind of separate that from everything else. Lauren says, "Oh, thanks, Anne. Thank you. Bye. Good to see you." Lauren says, "Thank you all so much for this gift you just offered us. It has it had a felt sense of being inside your stories with y'all, rather than observing from a periphery. So amazing for y'all to bring this together." It moved. "We're so isolated. Putting my vote now to you live stream your shows when y'all are back in person. For those of us outside of California and New York." Yeah, I know. It's I don't know how people do the live streams when they do the shows. That's a whole completely different beast in itself. But like, all the information for this is like so difficult to manage. So I don't know how, like, especially with like bandwidth strength. So I'm not sure how they do that. But yeah, I mean, it's probably like the next wave for everybody to like watch performances. I mean, I did talk to somebody about like, when the theaters start opening up, they're probably going to start testing people before they go in the theater, just to make everybody feel comfortable. So I think testing is one of those things that you're going to have to do before you enter the theater. But I don't know what the wave is for performances these days. Or even when, Broadway's going to open up, or even the theaters are going to start letting performances go back up again. So that's a big question, right? But hopefully, hopefully something like this would inspire people to do stuff, even if it's like small scale. It's difficult, but it's doable. It's just one of those things you just have to be patient with yourself, and a lot of research to make it like possible. And it's just a lot of like back end preparedness to it. Like when you're there, it's like you just have to do it. But like if you're prepared and know how it's all going to happen, it really just elevates it a little bit more, just so it doesn't get so time consuming. Because if you're trying to figure it out at the same time as you're trying to look at stuff, it's really more daunting on your end, rather than like kind of living in this trying to find especially for me, like when I'm looking for the shots, I'm like, where is it? It's like, where is that? And so like since I knew what all the shots look like, I could find them pretty easily regarding that. Yeah. Ash, thank you. Amazing work. Thank you. Congrats, everyone. Any other questions, you guys?
I have a
couple more.
question.
Yeah, Nikki. What's up, Nikki?
Hi. I was so happy. That was so great.
Thanks.
Congratulations, everyone. You're all beautiful. I love you all. It's great. Were you taking photos or like screenshots during the performance? Because I saw. Oh, okay. Because there were. It was during like Katrina's solo and Sarah, and then I think during Jake and Devin's duet too. I saw like a flash, like as if someone was taking a photo.
Yeah, so the flashes happen because when you switch, sometimes it like takes a while to like, especially if you're going really fast and there's a lot of movement, the switch happens and it's like it has to flash. Like even when we were rehearsing last week, it would even like shift it a little bit, like it would the camera. I don't know why I did that, but like
it wasn't really distracting. I was like, oh,
yeah,
are they taking photos?
That is a thing. That is a thing that that is something that I saw today. That was different. It did like kind of like do a little weird clicky stuff. Yeah, but no photos taken. Taking screenshot. I know it's like it is like when you're taking a screenshot, huh? Yeah, that is a good question. Thanks. Nikki saw the original one.
I cried a lot.
You guys have any other questions? You can either type it on the chat or you can like turn on your camera. Any other questions from you guys? Crystal, anybody? But yeah, hopefully, you know, we can do another iteration of this somewhere or somehow. It's nice that when you after you perform, you can just go to the kitchen and cook dinner right away. That's kind of the nice thing about this. You don't have to travel like another hour in order to get home. But you know, it's like, you know, a lot of like preparing for this like the hour. It's more than like a live performance actually preparing for it. I mean, at least on my end. But definitely if you're more prepared, it's like it's a little easier. It's just nerve-wracking when you're not used to it. Like I'm sure those broadcast people are like, oh, you know, do this, do that, do that. But it's like when you're doing it for the first time, it's like it's really daunting. It's scary. Like when I pressed the wrong button, I was like, no, why did I do that? Oh, I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna look at that and edit it. Like, nope, it's gonna be gone. The second time you watch it, wasn't there a glitch there? Nope. Nope, I didn't see anything. But you guys, thank you so much for joining this Q&A. I hope we can maybe do this again sometime, maybe another iteration of it. Again, hopefully, please ask any questions. You feel free to send me an email or send a message to Instagram. If you have any questions or if you want help with anything, and if you want to donate, again, there's a donate button on the event page on the website. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. So exciting. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you to the dancers for like kicking ass. So good. Yeah, I hope I did justice to your stuff. But thanks everyone. We'll post stuff. I'll post the behind the scenes video. I gotta look at it first, but I hope it's not too funny. Thanks everyone. Thank you. Have a great night. Yay, hearts to everybody. Thanks.